In this video, we're going to be working on our mudroom going from this disaster area to the start of a much nicer area that looks like this. Welcome to Bacon's Lodge, where I will build many things, fix even more, and try to make it an adventure along the way. Welcome inside the Bacon Lodge. This is the current situation we have for coat racks and helmets for snowmobiling and stuff like that. Uh, don't like this in any way. I tried to make a dog cage underneath there. It turned out garbage. In this video, I'm going to remove all this and build out a custom cubby type system for it because I think it'll look a lot better. So first thing I got to do is I got to move all this stuff out of here, and I'll do a quick time lapse showing you doing that. So the whole room is torn out now. You can see that the walls are not 100% finished in here. Flooring had to come up because we had a sheet of linoleum in here that I just got one winter just because I needed to get something down so this OSB didn't get destroyed. Now we're going to actually blend in with the luxury vinyl plank flooring that I have in the bathroom. It's going to continuously run through this room, and we'll have a seam in the doorway to the living area, and then it'll be in there as well for majority of that area. But today we're going to lay that out in here. To do this, we're going to need a speed square, tin snips, razor knife, and there's a pair of knee pads behind me. You're gonna have to move the camera a few times in this one because I don't think you want to just see the back of me. So we're gonna get started on that. This one right here is probably going to be the trickiest one because I have to connect up to what was already there. It looks like I'm going to have to cut my trim as well. So I think I'll just pop those off. So just like any other project, the hardest part is just getting started because I've been kind of procrastinating this for the last couple hours, and now we're going to get to it. Oh, I'm also going to need a marker and a mallet. Go ahead and find a mallet, but I got a hammer, so we'll see if that'll work for us. It's going to be the biggest pain in the butt once I get it in here. It's in there. There we go. Now it's in there. Oh, yeah. Sweet. So that's the first piece. That should be the hardest piece of this entire room because I had to link it in with where the door frame was over there. So for the rest of this, I'm probably just going to set you up on a time lapse so you can just kind of see me as I go, and we'll go from there. Just wanted to give you a quick view of what it looks like outside right now. They're expecting between 3 and 8 inches of snow tonight, and it's been doing this for about 2 hours. I think we got about an inch so far. So this is what is amazing about the northern woods, and hopefully we're going to be able to snowmobile this year. Now that I got part of the room done, why don't we do a row together? So these are the cutoffs from the other side. When you cut off that side, it leaves you this side. So we're going to use these over here. So the seam is right here on this next row, and I have this longer one. I always try to stagger the seams as much as we can. So I'm going to, this is actually a miscut, but we're going to use it because I miscut it for the other side, but it's perfect for this side. So you just, first you wiggle down the side, the long side, then you go within an eighth to a quarter inch of the wall over there, and you do the long side first, and you get it down in there. The end seams on these, you'll see they are a little proud. As you walk on them, they work in a lot better. So once you get that one in there, the trickier part is on the second one where you have an end seam. What you do first is like I said, you put it in the long side and then you slide it down. It seems like if you slide it about an inch or so, and once you feel it cushion here, then you put your fingers underneath here, you pull up, and then as you're pushing down on that side, and it gets the lock into there. It's the easiest way I've found to do it. Then you go back and you push the previous seams, and it works pretty well. And I like to run 2 at a time, and I happen to have this cutoff here, but this one's pretty close. There's a seam here, and this one's about the same. So we're actually just going to cut a piece out of this one to make it look in this middle area here. Lots of crawling around on your hands and knees when you're doing this. When you cut it, it's very simple. You just take a utility knife and a speed square, and you score it. And if you slap it up, it'll break it clean. We're actually going to do 3 on this one because I'm going to like this stagger. There. Like I said, to do this, you put in the long edge, get it pretty close. Then if you slide it, it seems to help out quite a bit to catch it into the entire length of that. And you come over like it, lift up here, push down on the far side. So you're lifting it up so it goes underneath the locking lip here. Here's the other side. This one actually lines up about perfect, so, but I'll show you how to cut it on the next one. This one has an imperfection that I cracked, but I can hide it up underneath here, and this is going to be underneath the cabinet, so no one would ever see that, other than you guys. And don't tell anybody because they don't need to know that I put my imperfections underneath cabinetry and trim. Once you get it nice and locked in there, there you go. And then once you get this one in here, I'll show you how to cut the end piece. You don't measure because measuring, well, it takes longer, but it doesn't seem, you're not going to get it as accurate. So to do this last one, this is the orientation of how you want it to sit. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to flip this around, butt it up against the wall, take our speed square, we're going to set it about a 1/4 inch shy of where the end of this one is, and then score your line. And you turn it around, wiggle it in, and you're good. Then the cutoff is your starter for your other side. And I'm just going to finish up the rest of the floor here. You can watch me. Okay, after finding my stud by measuring on the other side and figuring out where it was, because I couldn't find it any other way, I did a pretty good job mudding, evidently. I'm going to transfer the line down to the 2 other marks that I got to make. And then we're not going to have another one over here because they're 24 inches apart. And I believe the next one is over pretty close to the door. Yeah, it's way past where we're going to go. But that's okay because we're going to be able to carry them this way. So we're going to install this bottom bench here. This is going to be the start of this, and we're going to try to get this done today. I'm going to put this is a 5/8 inch regular plywood. Anybody who builds cabinetry or anything like this knows that this is not necessarily the right material for this, but I didn't budget a whole lot of money for this summer because I wasn't planning on building this out. This is a kind of prototype for a project that I'm going to be doing for a friend of ours at their barn. The top half of the cubbies things is going to be kind of a mental template for how we're going to build it out there. So that being said, I could use much nicer materials for this, but it being a lodge up north here, and just for me and my family, I think it'll be okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this 5/8 board that I cut down to 16 inches wide, and the length is 86 because that's what the spacing is in this board. So we're going to set it up here. And since I have that corner over there, it should pretty much support itself. And then I just cut this board before to the same height as the cleat back there. So, and we're going to turn this one this direction. The reason why I want it this direction is because we're going to put boards on the front. Now I'm going to leave this mostly open underneath here. The reason why is because it's going to be for boot storage. We have these boot trays. They're just basically a plastic pan so that the water is in. And if I leave them like that, we'll be able to slide them underneath there. And that way you can put your boots on them and the water from the snow gets trapped in there instead of getting the floor all wet. It's not that it would ruin the floor because this floor is waterproof, but I don't like walking in puddles of water because then your feet and socks get wet and it's really not nice. So we're going to make it so that these fit in here pretty nicely. So we're going to put a support around here somewhere. So we're going to have this one halfway so it supports the back one, and then the new one I'm going to be putting up here. Now when you're nailing with a nail gun like this, I know it seems very silly, but don't ever have your hands anywhere near the back of this. I know you're pointing straight down, but the nails tend to deflect to the side and side. And Jeff, the other guy that's usually here, he actually shot himself in the finger a couple years ago when we were building our mini cabin, and it got infected and he had to go to the hospital, and it took him about a month for it to heal up. So try not to put your hand anywhere near where the nail could go. It's really easy not to do that because you're thinking, hey, the nail's going to go straight. Well, they don't on brad nailers. And we're just going to hang this one up as well. We're just sliding it up there, stacking on top of that one. The bottom posts are just freestanding right now. We're going to secure those more when we put a face on it. Like I was talking about the boot tray. I think we can fit 2 of them here and probably 1 over on this side. So we're going to just measure this overall length here, which is 70 inches. And these are 29 inches wide. So yeah, if we split this in half at 35 inches and put a support in the center there, we'll be able to put 2 in there, which would work out pretty well. So we're going to do a cool tool review of this DeWalt nail gun. I'm actually going to take the battery off so I don't end up shooting myself while doing this. This is DeWalt 20 Max. This is their 16 gauge nail gun. Overall, pretty standard thing. You know, it runs off their 20-volt system. It takes 1.25 inches up to 2.5-inch nails on the side there. A couple of cool things about this that people might not know, because I didn't know until I was actually using it, is it's not a hammer. Don't use it as a hammer. A lot of people do. On the front of it there's that little line. I'll put an arrow on it. That shows you where the nail is going to be coming out in this vertical orientation. On the side, you can see it there too. What that does is when you're using the nail, you'll see in the video, I use a speed square and I'm just lining up that line with it. And I know that I'm shooting pretty close to that area behind it. When you're shooting into a 1/2 inch piece of wood, that makes it a lot easier to actually find it. Now, remember when you shoot with a nail gun, just because you're pointing it straight and it's on the right area doesn't mean that it's not going to hit a grain of wood or something that go off to the side. As much as you can, try not to put your hands in this area of the gun. Seems very, very simple and most people would do that, but it's very easy to be holding something you think it's far enough away, the nail to shoot sideways out of a 2x4 right into your hand, and it hurts like hell. They get infected quite often, and it's not worth it. So overall, that's the DeWalt 20 volt max 16 gauge nail gun. Actually a really good nail gun. I've had a few different ones over the years. This one I like so far. Now I should tell everybody that at best I'm a rough carpenter. Finished carpentry like this is not necessarily what I'm the best at. So if it ever gets to be big enough for people who actually know what they're doing are watching this, I always will take your criticism and I'll try and improve myself, because that's what I think the YouTube community is kind of about, is making everybody better. But know that I'm trying my best, and as I work, it seems like I get a little bit better. That being said, I'm trying to make everything as precise as I can right now, but you're going to see as I work, I guarantee it's not going to be. There's going to be things that I'm going to have to fix along the way. Since I used just regular plywood, one side is sanded and nice and pretty. The other side you'll see has stamps on it, and it's not as smooth. The idea that I have is that I'm going to be putting it on the outside, at least with this one. I want to put it on the outside here. And then I'm going to be covering it with log siding, I think, because I think it'll look really nice. So I'm going to be putting the nicer side to where you're going to see it. So like that one's going to face this way. We're going to be putting another one here. I'll probably have the nicer side face that way because you'll see it from the door as you walk in. It's also going to get painted, but just kind of showing you how I'm thinking right now. So I have one of my ripped pieces of plywood down here. And what I need to do is, because we're going to pocket screw these into here, but I want it recessed where these are taken out. So to do that, we're going to kind of make this a template actually. I'm just holding it up tight where I know it's plumb, that one I already put in there. And I'm going to mark the top and bottom of these on here. And I know that's right in line where this is going to be. This is flush up here, and then this will be the template for the other ones that I have to cut. Then we got one down here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my speed square and I'm going to extend those marks. And then this is the piece that I cut. It should be 3/4, and I could just use my speed square, but I want it pretty precise. Now we have to cut these out. So I'm just gonna stop you now, and I'm gonna make the rest of the ones that I need to cut out. It's just a repetitiveness of what I just did. To drill pocket holes, I'm gonna use a Craig jig. They sell them in kits. To set it up on the back, you can see those little numbers there. So you set it so that the 1/2 inch is by that arrow there, because I'm using 1/2 inch plywood. That's how you set the depth on that. And then for the drill, there's a collar on here that you set up for the 1/2 inch as well. Now what I want to do is I'm going to put 2 of them in each one of these little areas where where we cut it out. You take your jig, you screw it down or clamp it down, and then you take your drill, and it's got little collars here. You just slide them right through there. Okay, and then you just simply pop it off. And you got two little nice holes there that you can put your screws in. So I'm going to start doing a bunch of those, and we'll show you how to put them back up. So I drilled out all the pocket screw holes, and now we're going to start putting them up here. I made a board as a template to put on here so you don't have to measure it every time. This should keep my consistency a lot tighter. So I cut it at 19 3/4 because I wanted the boards to be spaced at 20 inches on center. So I took the width of the board, which is 1/2 inch, divided in half, 1/4 inch. So I made it 19 3/4. So if I put this block on each one before I screw it in there, it should make it so they all line up and they're always 20 inches on center. We're going to do this first one here. So I put the block up here. We're going to take the board, slip it up in there, tap it up tight up against that template. And then there's specialty screws that they have for this that are made for plywood. And you just slide her into the pocket screw and screw it down. Now I'm going to move my template board to on top of this one. Probably going to move it out a little bit. The reason why I want the template on each one is that when I told you that these boards are not the precise ones, they have a bow in them. So this will help me take that out by pushing it up tight against there and then anchoring it in. Okay, so that plumbed up the middle and the top. I have to do it for the bottom here. My thought was, I cut more of these at 19 3/4. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna anchor them off of here, then we just tack them to each other. And I think it'll work really well, and that way everything is all locked up. And then I'll have to measure up underneath here and screw one up from underneath. I screwed these from underneath so that they're all spaced out right. We did the pocket screws to connect up to the wall. The next step is to put one across the top so we lock it all in. That'll also be the start of the next foundation. I'm just putting this one up, buttoning up against that one, putting my mark here. That should be just about perfect. So here we have the rough skeleton or carcass of the cabinet. Thank you for watching the video. I wasn't planning on ending it at this point of the build, but it got to be way too long of a video and I couldn't really add too much more out of it. I do appreciate you watching. This will end up being a series of at least 3 or 4 more videos that I have to still film. Once again, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next one.